I just always knew it was part of my identity, part of who I was. Football was always part of my life.
Hey everyone, welcome to our podcast, The Bold Tackle. We are your hosts, Sophie Howard and Oliver Howard, and we are ready to tackle bold topics in sport,
highlight the women's football industry,
and speak about the unspoken.
If you are ready to get an insight into what really goes on behind the scenes, join us on our journey and listening
to The Bold Tackle.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the next episode of The Bold Tackle. Unfortunately, you have to only deal with my voice today because we're trying something different. Ollie has been very, very busy with meetings and interviews for work, and compared to myself, he's also got to juggle family life. As you all know, he's a husband and he is a dad, and it is his wife's birthday tomorrow, so I let him off. And today, I'm going to lead the episode. It will be a little bit different. You're probably wondering, how am I going to get a conversation started just by myself? And to be completely honest, I'm with you. Not a clue how this is going to happen, but we're going to give it a try. Anyways, I hope you're all well. I'm currently actually just back at the hotel, still on camp. I'm recording Tuesday night, so literally just played the game at Hampden Park, where we won 1-0. Whoop, whoop. We played Slovakia, 4 points. Tied top of the table. But yeah, back in the hotel room. I'm flying tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. So that's me probably at the airport by 5:30. But the podcast has to continue. So back recording, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. I thought we could chat about, I've started already, but about the game we've just literally played with Scotland. And of course, there's a big game coming up for the Leicester women on Sunday. So I feel like we could chat about that a little bit as well. And then this is a perfect opportunity for me to catch up on all the listeners' questions, because thanks to all of you, you've sent loads of questions in. And Ollie and I just get carried away in other episodes where we always have a specific topic. And then we rarely have time for the questions. So this is a perfect opportunity. Let's start with the game. 1-0, as I mentioned. Huge relief. Was it our best performance? Nope. I think someone told me a stats after the game, 70% possession, which is obviously very dominant. But currently we're not managing to break teams down in a sense of connecting the final pass and creating chances. I think we created a lot of crosses, however, not so much clear-cut chances. So it's probably something we have to work on. In the end, a huge relief, as I said, that we got the 3 points, that we got the win. And now it's recover and back to club action. Sunday, big game for us. Semi-final against Spurs, as you all know. If you haven't yet, make sure you get your tickets. This is definitely not one you want to miss. Let's hope we can make history together. Do I think it's doable? Absolutely. Do I think it's going to be a tough one? Absolutely. But those are the games you look forward to most. So let's get to the questions. I've got a list of them. So I'm going to be staring at my laptop, so I hope you don't mind. Anyways, first question, did you pick your kit number or was it chosen for you? And if you picked it, is there a meaning? I picked number 5 for Leicester after I was given number 5 for Scotland. Obviously, you probably all know that I had number 15 and that was given to me when I moved to Leicester, and it just worked really nicely because I had 15 for Scotland. And when I changed for Scotland and number 5 became available for club, I changed to keep it the same. It's as simple as that. It doesn't really have a big meaning. But I feel like centre-back, number 5, just works well, really. Next question. How do you cope with injury setbacks? That's a really good question, actually. Injuries are probably one of the biggest challenges in football and sport. Unfortunately, you can't change it often. You can do your best to prevent them, but some injuries still happen even if you do everything to prevent them. How do I cope with the setbacks? In the end, I think I'm someone that control the controllables in a sense of injuries happened. All I can control now is my comeback. And of course, the days that I have gotten injured, I'm devastated. I'm very emotional on those days. But I allow myself to be emotional for about 24 hours. Once I've gone to bed and I wake up the next day, mission comeback is on. And I literally just focus on making sure I come back as strong as I can and better than I was before. And that's pretty much my motivation. When I am injured, don't get me wrong, it's never nice. But I have to somehow, or I'm a person that tries and sees the positives in a sense of it give me an opportunity to be better, become better, to learn something different about myself, I guess, how to deal with these setbacks, how to cope with these challenges. But yeah, I think the underlying topic is try and turn it into a positive and use that challenge, that obstacle, as an opportunity to grow. Who's the best female player you've come up against as a defender? I think I've mentioned this before. There's quite a few actually that I would mention. Often I drop in Beth England because I do believe she's very tricky to defend. She's very good at running off your back shoulder. I have mentioned Viv Miedema before because she's a world-class player. I have mentioned Sam Kerr before. And I think when I answered that question, it was about the rotation that the Chelsea players have, which is very, very difficult to defend. The best player, wow, that's a very difficult question. I'd probably have to go with Sam Kerr currently, or the one that sticks in my mind. Next question is, what is the craziest Scottish women's national team camp experience you've ever had? That's a really funny one, actually. Bizarre. But when we were competing for the Euros 2017, that's when I just newly joined the squad, and we were managed by a different manager, the previous manager, Anna. We were staying in the Netherlands, and we did all sorts of team activities. And you have to imagine, I've just joined the squad, the group, and everyone has known each other for quite a while. And they made us do laughing yoga, which was one of the very interesting experiences, I guess. That was probably a mad one, but I think the craziest one was we went sheep herding. So actually, do you know what? I really, really enjoyed it. But this guy came up with his little van full of sheep and 2 dogs to herd the sheep, obviously. And he was teaching us how to herd sheep. Craziest thing I've ever done on camp. But as a group, we literally embraced, I guess, the challenge, the task, the activity. And it was a fabulous day. It was a great experience, but probably that I would put that down as my craziest experience. Next question. I've covered this before. What is the day-to-day life as a footballer like? I think I've covered that before. It's a lot of trainings, a lot of meetings, a lot of prep, gym work, a lot of analysis, and not a lot of taking care of your body, recovery of physical and mental recovery. So it's a full-time life commitment, I'd say. It's not a 9 to 5, which people often think, or even a 9 to 3 or something like that. It's full on. But I love it. I can't complain. I am absolutely grateful for the life and career I've got. So I should not be sitting here complaining about the long hours. I chose that lifestyle, and I think when I committed to becoming a professional footballer, that's what I signed up for. And next question. How old were you when you started playing football, and any tips? I was 5 years old. I think everyone knows the story. I started playing because of Ollie, my older brother, who's unfortunately not here today. He's currently actually asleep, I would imagine, because it is actually, guys, it's midnight, so we're going into Wednesday now. So it's 1 a.m. In Germany where Ollie lives. I hope he's sleeping well while I'm recording. I'll send him a message in the morning. But yeah, I started when I was 5. Started because I idolised Ollie. And any tips is, I guess, give it your all. And do it all with a smile on your face, in a sense of, don't get me wrong, when the days are challenging, I don't always smile away, because that's fake, or that would be fake. But I absolutely love what I do. And I probably couldn't have pushed this far and wouldn't have stuck with it for so long if I didn't love what I was doing. So the most important thing, what I always say to upcoming talents or young girls that are starting, is enjoy it, enjoy the ride. And that's probably something I need to embrace more, is enjoying the ride. But that is kind of my tips, my message. When did you realise that football was your future? That's a good question, because I just chased my dream, my passion. I was obsessed with football and becoming better as a person and player. And I think all the moves I made, the steps I took, were simply because I loved the game so much. And I can't even see chasing a goal, because I didn't really know what the goal was when I was growing up. Women's football was not something that we were able to, I guess, grasp, or we didn't have a lot of female role models in the sense of female footballers as role models. There were only a handful. When did I know it was my future? I just always knew it was part of my identity, part of who I was. Football was always part of my life. But I think when I left home at the age of 15, which is very, very early, I lived with a host family for a year before I moved together with Ollie. I think we lived together for 2 years. Bear in mind, I was only 17 at that stage. And what was he? He was 20. So you can imagine absolute carnage. But I think when I made that move and moved away from home, and I think you all know how important my family is to me, that was a step towards chasing my dreams, chasing my passion. That was when I knew I was going to give this whole football thing a good old shot. Before that, football was already one of the biggest parts of my life. But it was in the sense of I was still living at home, I was still with my family every day. So at that point, I hadn't had to make those big sacrifices that I make every day. That was probably the moment when I decided to give it a shot. And fortunately, it worked out. Next question is, when playing in a match, how much can the crowd get to you or help you? What really helps? The crowd, the supporters are absolutely crucial. I think I've mentioned it before. The Foxes supporters, the Tartan Army for Scotland. In spells in the game where it gets tough, where you get frustrated, where you are tired, they really, really push you, but challenge you to believe in yourself as well when you get frustrated. And I always say, if you don't want to do it for yourself, then at least do it for the fans that came and are supporting you. You should always want to give it your all for yourself and your teammates. But if there's any sense of doubt or exhaustion, then I think that's my why. That's why I keep going. How can they, or the question was, what really helps? It's just the unconditional support. I think it goes so far. I think fans, for me, in the recent years, have played an incredible role in a sense of building a community, building a togetherness in a sense of we've grown together through challenges. And it is one part of football that I absolutely appreciate, and I think we don't mention that enough. So please keep coming and supporting us. Just realise or know that it doesn't go unnoticed, and we're absolutely appreciative of all your support and unconditional support. That is probably the biggest thing, which I'm absolutely grateful for. How do you keep mental health in check in pressured matches? Good question. I do a lot of work with different performance psychs. I say different because I've got someone I work with at club. I've got someone that's present on camps. And we do a lot of work, whether that's as a collective, as a team, but also individually. I think I've mentioned in an episode before that I've also worked with a mental coach outside of Leicester and Scotland. Someone I looked for individually when I really, really needed support. So I don't wait until the big matches hit and then panic and look for support or look for help. I think all the work I do throughout a season, with no big games coming up, prepares me for the big games. In the end, it's 11 or 22 players on the pitch playing a game of football. No matter how big the occasion, it's in the end 22 players on the pitch playing football, and that's what I keep reminding myself of. In addition to that, I do a lot of visualizing. That really, really helps me. and visualize the big occasion before I even get there. So I know what I'm expecting. I know what it's going to hit me. So I'm not surprised, and I'm certainly not panicked. And in the end, I love being in the arena in a sense of putting myself under that pressure, in that pressure environment where literally everyone's looking at you. I kind of thrive with that. Don't get me wrong, there's games and days where I'm maybe nervous, but even there I've got techniques, and maybe that's visualizing, maybe that's breathing techniques. And it sounds so, I guess, hocus pocus. In the end, it's just getting my body and mind ready for the big occasion when it hits ahead of time. I hope that answered the question. Anyways, if it didn't, please get in touch again and I'll try and elaborate. I think I've covered quite a few of them in there. How do you cope in the game and struggling with mentality and confidence? I guess that's quite similar to what I've just said. I prepare ahead of time, and I also visualize a lot. When I talk about visualizing, I visualize different scenarios in the game. I try and slow the game down when I visualize to see options, to feel like I've got more time on the ball than I think. So then when the pace of the game, I guess, hits you, you're already seeing the options, looking for the options. Confidence is an interesting thing because you can still play confidently without being confident. You can still do confident actions without actually being confident. It's a habit that you need to create and develop. That is something we really emphasise with our Scotland performance psych. So when I'm potentially low on confidence or struggling to get into a game, I go back to basics and I make sure I do my simple stuff correctly and to the best of my ability and grow into the game kind of thing. Partially I've got a motto, I guess, of no regrets. So going out there and being brave and being fearless. And I think you can see that in the way I play. And that, I guess, motivates me because the one feeling I do not want to have after a game is regret that I wasn't brave and therefore didn't perform the way I can. So I hope that answers your question about confidence. There's a question Sophie would like to know. I know who this question is from. There's little Sophie, our fan, with her family. But little Sophie would like to know, how does it feel when you change football teams? Fortunately, I haven't had to do it too many times. As you know, I played for Hoffenheim in Germany and then I went to the US, and I actually returned back to Hoffenheim because I loved the club and I loved the life I'd built there before I went to the US, and I loved the community around the club. When I left Hoffenheim, that was a really, really tough one, and it was a heart versus head kind of thing. I had to make that step for football, for my development. I could have easily stayed in a sense of I absolutely loved Hoffenheim and my life there, but I was in my comfort zone, and I don't like the feeling of complacency and being content. I wanted to challenge myself and grow. That's when I made the move to the UK. My move from Reading then to Leicester was a fairly easy one in the sense of, I think I mentioned before that I could never really identify myself with Reading, and that is partially mistakes I made. That is partially with the club I couldn't, I guess, align myself with. However, I did even there build a connection to the sister clubs in the community. But at that point, as harsh as it sounds, the move wasn't a difficult one because I had to prioritise falling back in love with the game, and for that I had to make a move. And now at Leicester, if I ever were to move, I know it would be heartbreaking. I think you all know how much Leicester means to me. I guess the future, or my future with Leicester, is unknown. It's never a certain in football. But I know it'd be a very, very tough one because Leicester is my home. Leicester City Football Club is, I believe, where I belong and where my heart is at. So yeah, that would be a very tough one. But Hopefully I don't ever have to answer that question, but that's also not solely up to me. In the end, whatever happens, whatever challenges, I guess, are thrown at me, I'll deal with. But for now, I'm very, very happy to be a Leicester City player. I'm very happy to be part of the Leicester community. And as I mentioned, I very much care about the club and the community, and this is where I belong. Next question, because that got really deep. How does it feel seeing your name and teammates' names on the back of fans' shirts? Feels great. Feels amazing. I think it shows how much the game has grown and how far we've come. And I hope we can increase that even more. But to answer the question, it feels really, really good. Sometimes a bit odd still to see. But yeah, it's great. Last question, actually. No, there's two more. Sorry. After being a professional footballer, what's the next goal for you? Hopefully I'll still have a couple of years of playing. I'm certainly not done yet. I think I've got so much more to offer as a player and person. But what next? Good question. I'm unsure. Next goal. I'm currently on the A license. I actually my application got accepted, so to speak. So that's probably the next thing I want to complete. That is hopefully still while I'm playing. So unfortunately, I can't really answer that question. I don't know, because hopefully I've still got a couple of years of playing. So I'm really sorry. I can't really answer that question. Last one. How do you prepare for late kick-off games? Does it impact your training rhythm? It doesn't really impact my training rhythm because the training will still be the same and often the same time. It just means we'll probably have more time to recover from the final session before the game until the game, if it's an evening kickoff. And throughout the day, I think I said that last time, it's the longest day, but I'm very productive on those days. What always happens is basically I just go about my day as if it's a normal, almost off day. I always go out and go for a walk or get moving, do house chores. If it's not a Sunday, I'll probably go food shopping or something like that. But then I take a nap throughout the day, and once I wake up from the nap, it's basically the routine I'd have for a normal game day, afternoon, midday kickoff. So that it's only a 20-minute nap. It's not a long nap, but that basically breaks my day up. And from that moment, then the preparation for the game is like a midday game preparation. I always do my primer, whether that's an evening kickoff or midday kickoff. The time just is different because I think it's like 6 hours before kickoff. So whether that's like early in the morning or midday or afternoon, that probably changes. But I think the nap is my break of the day, where then my preparation is towards the game, whether that's evening or morning, doesn't really matter. I hope that answered the question. But yeah, that's all the questions answered for all of you. I hope, guys, this answered all your questions and gave you the insight that you potentially wanted and I can provide. If you have any further questions, please send them my way. Might take a week or two to answer, but I certainly will get them answered at some point. But yeah, slightly different episode, but I feel like I'm chatting to you guys, and as much as it couldn't be a two-way conversation, I hope you still enjoyed what I was chatting about. As I mentioned, it's Tuesday night now. By the time this episode gets published, it will be Thursday, and we'll be very, very close to the Sunday game. Get your tickets. I can't emphasize it enough. Hopefully, you'll be part of history that will be made. It's the probably the biggest game we've had all season. We need every single supporter. Going back to the question, what the support means or how you can support us, make sure you come. We need every single one of you. I can't wait to see you all on Sunday. Can't wait to hear you loud and proud. And I hope next time we'll have Ollie back on board. So let's hope he won the Husband of the Year award and he made her feel very, very special. But that's it from me, guys. As I said, I hope you'll see you Sunday. Take care and I'll see you next week. Bye, everyone.